What is going on, everyone? This is Courtney Rollins, host of the Life and Transitions Experts podcast here in the office, here to provide hopefully some content that will be helpful to you. Quite often, my content is geared towards personal representative and family members who are experiencing and going through probate. I try to help people save time and energy and hopefully generate funds and make money or save money for the estate. But sometimes some of my videos are geared towards more practitioners, folks who are just like me or out there helping people make it through probate. And quite often, one of the reasons that we're doing this is, well, we know that if we serve and if we give, just like Zig Ziglar says, you're able to receive really. If you help enough people get what they want, you'll be able to get what you want. And one of the hats that I wear and that some practitioners often wear is that of a real estate investor or real estate agent. And so often there is property involved in an estate where someone needs some type of help, whether they need help figuring out how they're going to keep it for themselves, or if they need help listing it so they can get top dollar for the estate debt or inheritance, or if they need a quick cash sale, again, for estate debt or inheritance, and maybe there's whatever reason they're not wanting to hold on to it. Perhaps they live out of state or out of the county, or they've inherited a challenging tenant. There's so many reasons why someone would decide to not hold on to it, and that's where investors and agents can come in and help solve problems. And so, one of the ways that we actually find folks who need support and need services um, that is tried and true is knocking on doors. I've been knocking on doors for the last really 2 weeks. Well, in my history, one of my first jobs was knocking on doors, raising funds for a nonprofit organization. I've had different jobs in the past where I've knocked on doors, and that was in my younger years when I was in college, last century almost. And it was a great experience because knocking on doors was not necessarily fun. You're going up and you're expecting to hear no, and it definitely builds character, and it really helps you find out how you can interact with a lot of people and overcome objections, overcome some of the resistance. And if you can talk to a ton of people who don't know you and just knock on their doors, then you can do just about anything. And sales is one of the most awesome, if not the most awesome profession out there. And if you're a real estate investor or you're a real estate agent and you're attempting to purchase a home or list a home, you still are in sales because you need to be able to not necessarily convince someone to sell to you, but you need to be able to show the value that you provide, and that's still communication, and that's still sales. And what there's nothing that has gone across really face of this earth in human interaction that doesn't require a salesman. All these great inventions require some type of person or ability to sell what it is. You can have the greatest product in the world, but if someone isn't able to communicate that, then it's not going to move forward. All right, so we're going to look at what I've looked at so far and learned so far, door knocking. And one good thing about it, a disclaimer, even though I have a history of door knocking in different industries a long time ago, it's taken me a while to really get my feet underneath me. I'll knock on the doors that first week. I was so nervous. I was mumbling, bumbling, stumbling. I just had a great conversation, a meeting with alltheleads.com, or not .com, but all the leads. Great training resource for folks who are looking to do similar things that I'm doing. And I was discussing in there how I'm willing to be bad at something for a while. I'm willing to not be good at something so that, especially something that's worth actually being good at. So embrace the process. And so embracing it. And part of the way that I continue to learn to grow is to share and teach. So here we go. All that being said, door knocking, probate, real estate kit tips and strategies. We'll go over 8. But just if you don't know, probate is the legal process of settling the affairs in the state of a deceased party. And if someone has passed away and they don't have legal instruments in place that make sure that they pass away with nothing in their name, I know that sounds odd, then there has to be a way for people to distribute the assets, deal with the debt that's in the property, and that's called probate. That's why I highly recommend folks reach out to me. I'm not an attorney. I'm not offering legal advice or a financial advisor. I'm sharing my opinion, but I do think it is my strong opinion that you should have your estate plan comprehensive in place. Trust, revocable, irrevocable trust are not just for people who are extremely wealthy. There are other legal instruments you can put in place as well besides trust, to make sure that when you do pass away, that your assets don't have to go through probate and more of your legacy, more of your wealth is passed along to your family as opposed to fees and taxes and other things. So definitely check with me if you want to find an attorney. I'm connected to a nationwide group of vetted estate professionals, or check out a great estate planning attorney so that you can go ahead and get your affairs in order, put your legacy in place in order, because you don't want to go through probate. But so many people do find themselves in probate, and quite often there is property, as I said. So that's one of the reasons where we look at it as a resource here. That's just outline of the North Carolina uh, probate process. Feel free to check out videos that I've done in the past on there. So let's take a look at some tips. Tip number one: do your research and preparation. And now, when I say that, I mean make sure that you're actually going to personal representatives. You don't want to actually necessarily go to houses of the person who's the decedent who passed away, because of course they passed away, and quite often that property um, m- may be vacant. You're looking for the personal representative. Now, you don't need to do a full scale research on how the property value or all those things. You're really there in the discovery, but you need to make sure that you are being efficient with your time and going to the personal representative. In different states, it's called different things: the fiduciary, the executor or executrix, if there's a will left behind, or the administrator if there isn't a will left behind. But you're going to find their mailing address and go to that particular place. So research and do your preparation. You need to practice your opening statement. That was so awesome about all the leads and Bruce and Ken and all the folks over there. They've really been helping me. I don't want to say perfect, but get my opening statement down, because the first 30 seconds are going to allow you to have the next 30 seconds. And so I'm disrupting someone during their time doing something else that they obviously want to do. So I need to be able to get in there, get succinct. I don't try to sell or send out all my information at once, but I do want to practice getting to a good question that allows the conversation to go. So you need to practice it. All right. Number three, make sure you dress professionally and be respectful. I am playing around with how I want to dress. One of the objections I often get is that, hey, I got it taken care of. I have an attorney, and I affirm that's great, that's awesome. A lot of people I work with actually have attorneys, and I may pivot to a question about. Hey, well, I may, I'm getting ahead of myself. I may give them some type of ask them, can I give them some literature, and maybe contact them later on, or if they see anything I can help them with, please do so, and then I may pivot to the question. But the reason I'm going down that route is that I want to I want to dress professionally, and I'm still going back and forth. I wore this today. I have had it button. I've had just a button shirt beforehand, but I wouldn't necessarily dress too far down. I know there's a lot of folks who may say when you're trying to buy the property, you want to look like the guy next door. You don't want to look like you have tons of funds, but you don't want to necessarily look like a slob. But there's definitely people out there who've bought property with shorts and flip flops on and been very casual. But I think that a lot of people that we're talking to as fiduciaries are going to expect a more professional look, and so that's why I'd opt more towards. Um, Being professional. And shoot, wrong, looking good. What's up? Hey, afternoon, Maurice. That's got to be one of my biggest fans and the person I'm a fan of. My mama, looking up here, she's so supportive. What's up, mama? How you doing? All right. Yeah. So this is being streamed live on YouTube. Feel free to check it out. Sup, love you to subscribe. It's being streamed live on my Life and Transitions Experts uh, Facebook group as well. Number four, you have to be empathetic and understanding, and that definitely goes a long way, and should be unspoken, especially when you're dealing with someone who's dealt with someone who's passed away. Now, these are people who have filed probate, so quite often people grieve differently, but the part of the grieving process that they've done, they've at least stepped up and said, we're ready for us to take care of this business. So um, I wouldn't necessarily go in and just be overly, hey, I'm so sorry to hear about your loss, unless the conversation gears towards it. I have had people who have talked about the reason they haven't finished their probate is because they feel like they'd be closing a part of their life that they're not ready to close just yet. And of course, I'm going to respond accordingly. So be empathetic, be reciprocal to their emotions. When I say reciprocal, in other words, kind of match their tone and emotions, but definitely make sure you're understanding when you're having these conversations. And number five, have a clear value proposition. I help folks uh, make the probate process easier. I help folks get money and save money for the estate. Trying to be clear as ever. But again, you're not necessarily trying to share everything that you can do for them, because it's not really about you and what you can do. It's about what their needs are. And the only way you can do that is by asking those interrogative, good quality questions when you have been given the permission to ask those questions. And so having a clear value proposition allows them to become more curious and understand what you can provide, and then it gives you permission to ask more questions so that you can match their wants, their desires to what you have, you know? And that's when you're able to offer those solutions and support. So you need to be able to probe for pain, dig into pain, find out how this pain is impacting their life, and then you can share your solution. This isn't a I can buy your house for cash, I can list it, I can get U-Haul trucks, I can uh, do all these things, I can dance, I can sing, I can do almost anything. No, you're not just rattling your head off. You're offering, of course, you have a supportive attitude and tone the whole time, but you're offering solutions that are geared towards what they're asking for. And how do you know what they need? Asking quality questions. And of course, follow up. Follow up is key. You're actually going for, at least that's what I'm going for in my first contact, is to set up another follow up. I'm like, hey, I'm sure I caught you at a bad time here. I just knocked on the door out of the blue. Uh, how about, let's say, do you have time, maybe 10 minutes of your time next week for us to get together and discuss maybe ways that I don't know, I might be able to help you? And so, again, I'm not pressuring. I'm trying to provide plenty of opportunities for them to let them know it's okay for them to say no, because again, I don't want to feel pressury or anything like that. And when someone feels like they can say no, they feel more control and they feel safe and they feel okay. And that's the truth. They want to be okay. And that's when you have the opportunity to continue to build rapport and see if there is a way you can serve. So I'm going forward trying to get the follow up appointment. Now, of course, there may be some laydowns where, like, yeah, sure, I need to get this property taken care of, or I need to do whatever it is that you might be able to help them with. Then, of course, plan accordingly. But I'm not going in for the kill on the, well, I shouldn't say kill, but going in for that sale of my services for jump. I'm going in to get that appointment and be consistent and persistent. So once you actually establish a rapport and you've given permission to follow up on that day, those days, make sure you're following up routinely and consistently, and that's the way you're going to be able to help. And again, if there's not property involved, or even if there is property involved and they're not ready to move forward, there are other ways you can serve. Have you guys figured out a way that you're going to prevent yourselves from going through probate in the future? That's a great opportunity for you to connect them to an estate planning attorney, and you're feeding everybody. Your the estate planning attorney you have a relationship, the person that you're serving, and it definitely comes back the universe and specifically with referrals. And yeah, if you want to chat, I love talking about this, learning about this. Let's talk. Jump on mccallenly.com/, estate pro service. I don't charge anything. And we can get together and see how we can be a part of each other's journey, you know? So that's it for me. I just knocked for today. I'm going to keep knocking, and I will continue to share my journey. Thanks again. Shout out to Bruce and Ken and all the folks at all the leads. And yeah, there's a lot of resources, a lot of forums out there. So let's take advantage. And hopefully, one forum that you find useful is the Life and Transitions Expert Podcast. That's LITE. Let your light shine. Cheers.